Can you tell me a little bit about, like, your experiences with picnic day personally?
I hate picnic day. I've hated picnic day since I've been a student here. I've had to work every picnic day that I've been. So I worked for 3 picnic days, and then I didn't work this year. But I work downtown. I work on Second C Street. So, like, we're out on the parade route, and, we're really kind of in the thick of everything. We're right next to the park. There's a lot of homes around us, too. We're right across from a sorority.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they chose to keep it open. I mean, no one ever comes in except to cause trouble. I've gotten in fights the 3 picnic days that I went, because...
But you weren't even at picnic day, you were just working.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm working inside of a glass box right in the middle of picnic day.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I'm still pretty kind of plugged into it all. But, people, every time it's happened, it's because people have come in or been right outside the door doing really belligerent or, like, frustrating things. Like, the first year, someone came in and, like, tried to steal hella sunglasses. Because I work in a doctor's office, an eye doctor's office. They tried, like, but I mean, they were so drunk that it was like, they were like, oh, these look really great. And then they, like, made the move to put them, like, straight into their open jacket as they're, like, yelling about how great these sunglasses are. Like, so, I mean, they weren't being smooth, and they, because they became belligerent with me when I was like, I saw you put those in your pocket. Can you please take those Fendi sunglasses and put them back on the board? And they were like, you can't tell me what to do. I was going to pay for these. I'm insulted. And I was like, well, they were like, shoved deep inside. So, if you would like, we can take you up front and we can check out right now if you were going to pay for them. And they're like, I don't even want to do that anymore. And you guys are fucked up. And they start cursing and they start, like, knocking stuff over.
Yeah.
And it's like... It's really, I have to maintain some level of professionalism, but at the same time, I just want to, like, shake them and be like, you asshole, just leave, no one ever has a right to be that rude to someone else or to be like that, just straight belligerent. And I feel like, that person probably wouldn't have had the gumption to do something like that if it wasn't picnic day, if they didn't think that they could get away with it because that type of behavior is acceptable.
Right.
On a day like that.
Yeah.
And, the year after, there was a guy who, we have a big glass doors, and he just... in the middle of the day was, like, pissing on our front door.
Oh, my God.
And so I walked up to the other side of the door, and, he's, like, leaning against it, just going, and I, like, bang on the window, and he, like, looks up, and he was like, he's like shooting everywhere. He's like, whoa! He was like, I didn't know you were open. As if, like, if we were closed, it would have been okay.
To pee on the door.
Yeah, and that's what I said to him. I was like, well, number one, we're open, and number 2, like, that doesn't make it okay anyways. And he's like, well, do you have a restroom I could use? And I was like, I don't think you need to use it anymore. I think you've already relieved yourself. And he was like, no, let me come inside. Let me do something. What do you guys sell here? I'll buy whatever you're selling. Like, all of a sudden he was trying to, like, be the stand-up guy to make up for it in some bizarre, extraneous way, when he just shouldn't have done it in the first place, And again, not many people would piss on the front door of, like, a prominent business downtown in the middle of the day on a, like, if it wasn't, if it wasn't like, oh, well, people will be people on picnic day, students will be students on picnic day, boys will be boys and boys will be girls, or girls will be girls. It's like... this weird kind of really gross activity is totally let pass. Like, people get, like, this magic wand, like, they can do whatever you want on picnic day.
Right,
and it's really fucked.
Yeah.
And the year after, I got in a fight with a guy who was, like, clearly trying to make a girl who's in the street do something she didn't want to do. He was, like, pushing her, and she was like, stop it, I told you no. And he was like, come on. And I don't know what they were talking about, but I was like, dude, if she says to leave her alone, leave her alone. And he was like, what the fuck's your problem? And, the girl, like, was barely with it, like, just barely. Like, she was so wasted. She was so gone. Like, I don't even know what they were arguing about. But, like, and maybe it wasn't my place to get in there, but he was, like, pulling at her and pushing her and, like, getting up in her face. And she, like, clearly was maybe in a space where she couldn't really stand up for herself, and he was also a lot bigger than her.
Yeah.
And he got up in my face and he started shoving me, and I have a really short fuse when men who are larger than me like try and push me around. Like I kind of have a history of pushing back. so I did,
right
and
on.
like, you know, well, yeah, but I mean, you know, I of course I'm not like proud of that. Like, you know, I would rather not have to be the situation. I'm not very often in situations where like that is even something that needs to be dealt with. But you know, he started pushing, and finally, like, you know, he kind of, people started paying attention and like coming a little bit closer because it's so crowded that, you know, people heard what was going on because I was being loud, because I wanted other people to hear just in case this guy did try to pull anything bad. And he was like, whatever, you fucking bitch, whatever, you fucking like faggot bitch, and like it was like, you know, and like, and then this year, like when Sarah and I were walking back from the protest, we got a couple of like, hey dykes, like, you want to make out? You guys should make out, you know, like type things. And that was just like, oh, this is why we're leaving downtown. And that was like, you know, at 11 o'clock. So I just barricaded myself in the house for the rest of the day and just listened to it from downtown. Like, I mean, there was already a sense that it wouldn't be a safe space, and I just didn't want to put myself through it. It's the first year where I could sidestep it completely, and I was glad to do that, aside from the protest, you know, which was more involvement than I had intended to have.
Yeah, which, by the way, had not been mentioned in any of, like, anything anywhere, which is, like, you know, makes sense. Like, how many people were out there that day?
I Googled it. I wanted to see if anyone wrote anything. There was nothing. There were no photos that people posted. There were like...
There are on Facebook.
There are? I haven't seen them. You should send me the link. I would like to see them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's just the pictures that I took. I don't know where anybody else's pictures are, but yeah.
Is Graffiti Press? Are they there?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. It's like... I mean, like, but when we were walking by, I mean, you saw, like, a lot of people with, like, kind of like, like,
yeah, they didn't really understand
like,
it. Yeah, downers.
What? Like, you know, had just been cheering for like the float ahead of us or whatever, and like so.
Well, what do you know about the violence that happened at Gay Street?
I don't know what that is.
It's like the gay co-op on like J Street. It's got like rainbow flags outside. Their flags were set on fire.
Really?
Intentionally by passersby, and like they did a really bold thing. They did a really brave thing. They opened their house. They actually had a party. And that was like, you know, to have like, you know, an openly gay, like cooperative, like, you know, open their doors in that fashion on a day when like they could just shutter their doors and like, you know, try and, I don't know if play it safe is the word that I want to use, but it does have to do a lot with safety.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think it was really gutsy to be like, no, like, well, we're going to celebrate Picnic Day just like everybody else. Like, I felt like...
That's kind of fucked up, too.
It's... I know, but, like, I feel like... anyways, I don't know exactly how... I mean, I wouldn't have done it. You know, I went home and hid, you know, but, like, it's... I think that, like, you know, opening your doors and being like, no, we can be a part of this, too. We are a part of the community. Like, I feel like that is actually kind of a cool action. But anyways, they had, you know... I guess, like, it went pretty well for a long time, but then near the end of the night when they wanted to, like, start, like, you know, having people get out because they needed to clean, people, like, you know, were refusing to leave, and, you know, epithet, you know, you can't make me leave, you fucking faggot, like, stuff like that was said. But, I mean, I feel like that's just, like, another example of, like, maybe a time when someone may not have been so bold if they didn't feel like they would have the cover of a lot of people doing a lot of stupid shit, you know, like now, like the opportunity was ripe, you know, to like carry out your hate crime because crazy shit happens on Picnic Day and you can't, maybe you just accidentally caught on. I mean, I don't know how it could accidentally catch on fire, but like, you know, but I think that people do use it as an excuse, you know, to like maybe like mask violent behavior that they don't feel like they would be that they would be too afraid to be reprimanded for if it was just an average day in Davis. Right. You know, like someone would have to be even gutsier to like light their flags on fire if it wasn't on the day like Picnic Day.
Yeah. I have some ideas for what I want to do in the fall, so just to let you know that I'm definitely not going anywhere. This is totally happening. And yeah, any contributions, any ideas, any thoughts are always very appreciated. Thanks so much for listening.